So here we are again, we're descending through 7,000 feet, we're approaching the runway at Dulles Airport. It's runway is this dashed line represents the direction of the runway. What I've done is that I disengaged the VNAV mode, I engaged speed mode, and that allows me to manually select the aircraft speed for the autopilot to follow, and also the altitude and the vertical speed. Let's decrease the vertical speed a little bit. The airport is just ahead of us. I'm going to manually select the heading now. Normally at this stage in the flight, the air traffic control will tell you which heading to fly, which altitude to fly to, but since we don't have any right now, I'm just choosing it myself. Let's level off here. We're going to go to the autopilot panel. We're going to arm the localizer mode. This will cause the airplane to turn to the runway heading once it comes in range of the ILS signal. So if we go over here, localizer is in white letters. It'll turn green once the localizer is captured. After the localizer is captured, we're going to select approach mode. This will activate once it captures the glide slope. So we just have to wait a little, let the aircraft fly itself. One thing we want to do is to arm the speed brake. This will cause the speed brake spoilers to automatically deploy once we're going to want to descend a little more again. So the speed brakes will automatically deploy once the wheels touch the ground. This will help slow the aircraft down. Localizer just got captured. We're going to activate the approach mode, start deploying the flaps. We're going to slow down to our landing speed. Another notch of flaps. There's the runway at Dulles Airport. Okay, we're gonna deploy the gear. Another thing about this aircraft is that, like all other commercial aircraft flying around today, is that they have auto-land capability. The aircraft can land itself without the pilot manipulating the controls. So if we were to... Today we will not be doing an automatic landing, so we just have to leave the autopilot on until we're a couple hundred feet above the ground, then we'll turn it off. But if we were to leave the autopilot on all the time, then the plane will land itself. So we're on the glide slope now. And this marker over here indicates when it meets this white line over here, that means that we're on the glide slope.
1,000.
That 1,000 call out that you just heard is the radio altimeter. That means that we are 1,000 feet above the ground level. At 30 feet, we will pull back on the throttles and start the flare, which is when the pilot pulls the nose up.
500.
500 feet above the ground. Auto throttle disengage. Autopilot off. I now have manual control to keep the aircraft on the center line.
Minimums. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Reverse thrust. So what happened is the reason why the screen froze the simulator sometimes has the tendency to lag right when I do the flare, so... But we just landed safely at Dulles Airport. So we're going to disengage the auto brakes, turn off the runway. We can switch off the flight directors, since we don't need them anymore. We can start the APU, because we're going to need that after we shut down the engines. So we've just taxied up to the terminal. We're about to pull into our parking spot, which is to the left of us. Parking at C14. So this line over here is marked as Boeing 757-200 with winglets. We're going to stop here. Each line over here is meant for a different type of aircraft. That's because the door location of each aircraft is different, and they need to park at the right distance from the terminal so that the gate will make it to the door. So now that the aircraft is parked, to make sure our APU is running, which it is, now we can go ahead and shut down our engines. Turn off the fasten seatbelt sign, make sure the APU bleed is running, taxi lights are off. We can turn off the window heat. We can connect ground power. Now we can turn off the APU. Since we have ground power connected, we can turn off the fuel pumps. We can also turn off the transponder, since we don't need it anymore at the gate. So this was our flight from San Francisco to Washington, D.C. in a United Airlines Boeing 757-200. I hope you enjoyed watching this flight, and that you learned more about how all the aircraft systems work. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. And thank you for watching and flying with us.